Welcome back to Stoic Venture, where we're not just skimming the surface of life's hard truths. We're diving headfirst into the deep end. No lifeboat, no turning back. If you've been with us so far, you know we've been unraveling a raw, unspoken reality. Why some married women, despite everything they've built, can become the easiest prey. We've walked through the unspoken void, the slow fade of connection that leaves a woman searching for something she didn't even know she'd lost. We've dissected the justification game, where the mind twists itself into knots to make the forbidden feel right. But now, my friends, we're stepping into the fire. This is the breaking point, the moment where there's no more just talking, no more innocent flirting, no more rationalizing. The chains of habit, as Samuel Johnson once said, are too weak to be felt until they're too strong to be broken. And on Stoic Venture, we're about to see how those chains tighten until there's no escape. Let's paint the picture again, because on Stoic Venture, we don't just tell stories, we live them. She's been married for years, let's say 12 now, just to give it some weight. She's a good woman, a loyal woman, or at least she always thought she was. She's got a husband who's steady, reliable, the kind of guy who pays the bills on time and mows the lawn every Saturday. They've got 2 kids, a dog, a house with a picket fence that's starting to peel. It's not a bad life, not by anyone's standards. But it's not the life she dreamed of either, not anymore. Somewhere along the way, the spark faded. The man who used to chase her, who used to make her laugh until her sides hurt, now spends his evenings scrolling through his phone or nodding off in front of the TV. She doesn't hate him. She doesn't even resent him, not fully. But she misses him, the him he used to be, and she misses herself too. And then there's the other guy. Let's call him Mark. Not his real name, but we need something to hold on to. Mark's been in the picture for a few months now. It started small, like we talked about, an offhand comment at work, a text that made her smile, a conversation that felt like a lifeline. She told herself it was nothing, just a distraction, a little jolt of excitement in a life that had gone flat. But now, it's more than that. The texts aren't just casual anymore. They're constant, a thread she can't stop pulling. She's meeting him for coffee, just as friends. But the way he looks at her across the table doesn't feel friendly. It feels alive. And she's hooked, not on him, not yet, but on the feeling he gives her. On Stoic Venture, we know that feelings can be more dangerous than actions because they sneak up on you, quiet as a shadow, until they've got you by the throat. Here's where it shifts, though, where the breaking point starts to take shape. In psychology, there's this thing called threshold theory, and it's a game changer. It's the idea that people who swear they'd never do something, never lie, never cheat, never break a vow, end up doing it anyway, because the hardest part isn't the act itself. It's the first time. The first time she sends a message she knows she shouldn't send, her fingers trembling as she types, "Hey, you up?" The first time she agrees to meet him outside of work, telling her husband she's running errands when she's really sitting in a dimly lit cafe, heart pounding. The first time she feels his hand brush hers and doesn't pull away, letting it linger just a second too long. That's the moment everything changes, because after that first time, the second time is easier. Aristotle nailed it when he said, "What we do repeatedly, we become." And on Stoic Venture, we're not afraid to admit that repetition is the mother of ruin. Let's slow it down and really feel this, because this is where the story turns. That first risky text, She sends it late at night, husband snoring beside her, the glow of her phone lighting up her face. She hesitates, thumb hovering over the send button, but the thrill wins out. She hits it, and the reply comes fast, too fast. "Couldn't sleep either, huh?" Mark writes, and suddenly they're off, trading messages into the early hours. She tells herself it's a one-off, a lapse, a moment of weakness. But the next night, she's back, phone in hand, same time, same rush. The first meetup's the same way. She's nervous, palms sweaty, rehearsing her excuse. "I'll just say I needed to clear my head," she thinks. But when she's there, sitting across from him, watching the way his eyes crinkle when he laughs, she forgets the excuse entirely. She forgets everything but the way her pulse races, the way she feels seen again. And that hand brush? It happens by accident. At least that's what she tells herself. They're reaching for the same sugar packet, and his fingers graze hers, warm and deliberate. She freezes, but she doesn't move. She lets it happen, and in that split second, a wall comes down. Here's the lie she keeps feeding herself, the one we've all heard before. I can stop whenever I want. It's the oldest trick in the book, and on Stoic Venture, we call it out for what it is: delusion. Because once something triggers that emotional high, it's not just a choice anymore, it's a craving. Neuroscientists have mapped this out, and it's wild. Romantic attraction, sexual tension, that dopamine rush of a new connection, it lights up the same brain pathways as cocaine. That's not hyperbole, that's science. She's not just enjoying Mark's attention, she's addicted to it, hooked on the hit of feeling wanted, feeling powerful, feeling alive. So even if she says, "This is the last time," she'll find a reason to go back. Maybe it's a rough day at home. Maybe it's a fight with her husband. Maybe it's just boredom. But there's always a reason, because at this point, it's not about Mark anymore. It's about her, about chasing that high she didn't even realize she was starving for. And then there's the lying. At first it feels unnatural, wrong. The first time she hides a message, swiping it off her lock screen before her husband can see, her stomach twists. The first time she makes an excuse. "Oh, I was just out with a friend." Her voice shakes a little, and she hates how it sounds. The first time he asks, "Who are you texting?" and she says, "Nobody." Her heart races so fast she's sure he can hear it. It feels dirty, shameful, not like her at all. But the human mind is terrifyingly adaptable, my friends, and on Stoic Venture, we know it's a double-edged sword. After a while, the guilt fades. She gets better at it, smoother, sharper, more strategic. She deletes threads without a second thought, switches her phone to silent, crafts alibis like a pro. She compartmentalizes so well that she doesn't even feel guilty anymore. She's not lying to him. She's protecting him, protecting them, protecting this little slice of something she's carved out for herself. She starts believing her own lies, and that's when the spiral really kicks in. Let's linger here, because this is the tipping point. She's not just flirting with danger now, she's dancing with it, twirling on the edge of a cliff she can't see. She tells herself she'll end it soon. Next week, next month, whenever I'm ready. But weeks turn into months, and the web gets stickier. She's trapped, not by Mark, not by her husband, but by herself, by the choices she didn't even realize she was making until they owned her. And here's the final shift, the one that seals the deal. She stops seeing her marriage as her primary relationship. Her husband becomes the other man, the real connection, the real passion, The real intimacy, it's happening with Mark in those stolen moments, in those secret corners of her life. Even if she hasn't gone physical yet, her heart's already checked out. It belongs to someone else, and when that happens, there's no rewinding the tape. Stick around, because on Stoic Venture, we're not just here to point out the cracks in the human experience. We're here to shine a light through them, to show you what's on the other side. We've walked through the void, we've dissected the justifications, and we've hit the breaking point where everything shifts. But now, let's linger here a little longer, because the story doesn't end with the fracture. It's what comes after that defines the wreckage or the redemption. This is where the real lessons lie, where we see the fallout of those tiny, almost imperceptible steps that paved the road to ruin. So grab a coffee, settle in, and let's explore the aftermath. Because on Stoic Venture, we don't just tell you what happens, we show you why it matters. Picture her again, the woman we've been following. She's 12 years into her marriage, 2 kids, a dog, a life that looks solid from the outside. But inside, it's crumbling, not because of some dramatic blowout, but because of Mark, the guy who slipped into her world like a whisper and turned it upside down. She's crossed the breaking point now. The late-night texts aren't just a habit. They're her lifeline. The coffee meetups aren't just as friends anymore. They're charged with something she can't name, but can't let go of either. Her husband's still there, still steady, still oblivious. But he's not the center of her universe anymore. Mark is, and on Stoic Venture, we know that when the heart shifts, the mind follows, dragging everything else along with it. So what happens next? Let's play it out, because this is where the 2 paths we talked about start to take shape. Path 1, she gets caught. It's not a movie moment, no private investigator bursting through the door with a smoking gun. It's quieter, messier, more human. Maybe her husband picks up her phone one night, not even suspicious, just looking for the weather app, and sees a notification pop up. Missed you today. 3 words, innocent enough on their own, but they hit him like a freight train. Who's missing her? Why? He doesn't confront her right away. Men don't always do that, do they? He stews on it, watches her closer, notices the way she guards her phone now, the way she smiles at nothing when she thinks he's not looking. Or maybe he overhears a call. She's in the backyard, pacing, voice low but not low enough. I can't stop thinking about you either. Either way, the truth spills out, and when it does, it's not just a crack anymore. It's a chasm. The confrontation's brutal. He's hurt, confused, angry. How could she do this? She's defensive at first, clinging to her justifications like a shield. It's not what you think. I never slept with him. But the words ring hollow, even to her, because she knows it's not about the physical line. It's about the emotional one she crossed months ago. They fight, they cry, they sit in silence that feels heavier than any words could. Maybe they try to fix it, counseling, promises, a desperate grab at what they used to have. But here's the kicker, and on Stoic Venture, we don't shy away from the hard stuff. Trust, once broken, is like a shattered mirror. You can glue it back together, but the reflection's never quite the same. She sees the doubt in his eyes every time she picks up her phone, and he sees the guilt in hers every time she looks away. Some couples survive it, sure, but it's a survival born of grit, not grace. More often, it's the beginning of the end. a slow bleed that ends in divorce papers or a marriage that's just a shell of what it was. Path 2. She walks away. This one's quieter at first, but no less devastating. She doesn't get caught. Maybe she's too good at hiding it, or maybe he's too checked out to notice. But the double life starts to weigh on her. She's living 2 stories now. The wife who packs lunches and kisses her husband goodnight, and the woman who lights up when Mark's name flashes on her screen. It's exhausting, splitting herself in half like that. She tells herself she can keep it up, compartmentalize, justify, control it. But the human soul isn't built for that kind of fracture. On Stoic Venture, we lean on the Stoics for wisdom, and Marcus Aurelius would tell us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. But she's losing that power because her mind's not her own anymore. It's tethered to Mark, to the rush, to the secret. So one day she makes a choice. Maybe it's after a fight with her husband, a petty one about dishes or laundry that somehow feels like the last straw. Maybe it's after a night with Mark, where he says something, anything, that makes her feel more alive than she has in years. She sits there, staring at her wedding ring, and decides she's done pretending. She walks away, not into Mark's arms, not necessarily, but out of the marriage that's been suffocating her. She tells her husband she needs space, or maybe she's honest. I don't love you the way I should anymore. It's a gut punch for him, a blindsiding he never saw coming, because he thought they were fine, stable, predictable, safe. The kids get caught in the crossfire, the house gets sold, the life they built unravels thread by thread. And here's the twist. Leaving doesn't fix her. She thought it would. Thought Mark or freedom or whatever she was chasing would fill the void. But more often than not, it doesn't. She's left with herself. And that's a harder mirror to face than any fight with her husband. Why does it end this way? Caught or walking away? Because, as we've been saying on Stoic Venture, she wasn't looking to cheat. She was looking to feel something she lost. Connection, excitement, identity. And once she found it, letting go felt impossible. Not because she didn't love her husband, but because she'd convinced herself this new thing, this electric thing, was her lifeline. It's not about weakness. It's about wiring. The brain chases dopamine. The heart chases meaning. And when the two collide, reason takes a back seat. Seneca, another Stoic giant, would remind us, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. But her reality became her imagination, a fantasy she built with Mark that outshone the faded Polaroid of her marriage. So what's the takeaway here? On Stoic Venture, we don't just leave you with a story, we leave you with power. The power to see what others miss, to read between the lines, to spot the silent signals before they turn into something irreversible. If you're a husband, ask yourself, am I really seeing her? Not just her presence, but her soul. If you're a wife, ask, what am I chasing and why? Because the truth doesn't just set you free, it warns you. It's a compass for navigating a world where temptation isn't loud, it's subtle, patient, deadly. We're not done yet, though. We've got hours ahead to dig deeper, to pull more wisdom from the ashes of this tale. So stay with me, because on Stoic Venture, the journey's just beginning to heat up.